Now, for me, my history of this movie is very interesting. Back in my boxing days, when I was traveling the boxing circuits, the underground boxing clubs of New York City, just going from show to show, knocking people out. On that circuit, this movie was very popular back in the '90s. So, I'd get done with the fight, go back to the locker room, and like they'd be like, "Hey, you should watch this movie Gladiator." So I heard all about it through the circuits, and then eventually,
So that's what
yeah,
happened to
came
your
to it.
face.
What? That's cruel, man. That's cruel. No, actually, this is one of those movies that used to come on late night television all the time. TBS, it'd be 1 a.m. in the morning. You're staying up because you think maybe it's a snow day, maybe school will be canceled the next day, so you're staying up watching a movie when you should be sleeping. This is one of those movies like Maximum Overdrive or Punisher, where it would always be on late night on TBS. So I saw this on TV in reruns probably 75 times as a child. So to me, it felt like a big movie because it was always on TV. Come to find out, it was only on TV, and that's the only way anybody ever saw it. So, but yeah, I've seen the movie probably about 100 times. So, unfortunately, what holds this movie back the most from being more prominently known and being a bigger thing is the damn name.
Gladiator.
Because you got a name called Gladiator, and then you had a world famous movie called Gladiator, Russell Crowe, come out in 2000, which with every search of the movie Gladiator, you're always gonna get the Russell Crowe version coming up first. And it just made this movie less likely to be found by people because it shares a name of a much bigger movie. So yeah, they could go back and retroactively change the name. And I don't know if the name Gladiator even kind of makes sense anyways. Like I guess it
I
does, but
mean, our villain kind of gives a slight monologue that explains the name.
they should have called it the Adventures of Papy Jack. So
Papy
that would have
Jack.
box office gold. Adventures of Papy Jack. Yep.
Even
Would
though
have been a
Papy
classic.
Jack was only in like 8 scenes in the movie.
Oh, he drives the entire story though. He's always the one making the moves. So Pappy Jack is if you're gonna have an employee, he seems like the best employee to hire to actually get shit done. Like he's
Until you realize he actually wants to take over your business.
like any good employee, he's also waiting to take over your position. Yeah. So yeah, Horn has to be a little bit suspect of he has to keep a eye on the back of the head of on Pappy Jack because Pappy Jack's making moves eventually to take Horn down. And I think we don't get to see it, but in the aftermath of this movie, I'm pretty sure Pappy Jack probably tried to do a hostile takeover. So
I think he succeeded too.
we should have I would have loved if at the end when when Tommy Riley finally defeats Horn, I would love them to cut to Pappy Jack and you see like a smile come on his face. That would have been I mean, that would have been just amazing if you saw and he said something like, "Good job, kid." Just something like that would have, I think, much I don't know, that would just been a fantastic way to end it, I think.
or,
Give
or,
give us that nod, you know?
or it cut to 3 weeks later after the fight.
Yeah.
Tommy goes to the gym to get so he can stay in shape, and there's Pappy Jack in the top office, just sitting there,
Mm.
as you brought up, smiling because now he owns everything. But he's going to leave Tommy alone because Tommy's already taken over, already kicked one person's ass. He doesn't want his own ass kicked.
Yeah, no, I mean, he seemed like he was always coaching up Tommy to, he wanted to be like a professional boxer, like actually fight for the championship and all that stuff. So I think his goal with Tommy would have been to actually get him to try to have an actual real boxing career. But I think Tommy feels like he's done with boxing at this movie ends. You could have had also one final scene where Dawn was like, "Hey, there's another dishwasher opening at the restaurant." Because I mean, I assume that's where he's going to be the next week, is working at the restaurant and the dishwasher. So
Nah, her mom isn't going to hire him back. He was in no call no show multiple times.
well, yeah, he was because he's a boxer, so I mean, he can't do both. So
Yeah, well, he shouldn't have been a no call no show if he really wanted that dishwashing job.
I don't think he really wanted that job. And then the boxing was paying him so much more money too. So, but now, I mean, I
Was it
assume, I mean,
really? All the money was going straight to Horn's pocket.
yeah, what's funny is we know that at a certain point he's just fighting to pay off the debt. But yeah, did Horn at least give him hey, buddy, here's $100 pocket, something to be hey, yeah,
No.
nice. Oh, okay. Now this is what we have to discuss about this movie is how much of a money-making enterprise this whole thing is because those arenas on the Friday nights, they look sold out and the crowd looks pretty energized and like excited and
And they have
I'm
money to
assuming they
spend.
I'm assuming they pay decent money and they're betting on the fights.
Yes.
So the house and Horn is like making fights purposely to like have big bets that he can win. So he's picking who fights who. He's setting up certain boxers to like, eventually lose to this other boxer. So he's got the whole thing planned out where the house is probably usually winning when all these dudes do all these bets.
Yeah,
So,
I think he's
uh,
also sets up the odds a little weird because
yeah.
uh with when Jack first gets in there to fight Black Death, they give Jack the upper hand. I mean, and I'm whereas Black Death gets the lower hand. I'm assuming that's so everyone can root for Jack. Is his name Jack? Tommy.
Yeah, I was like, Papy Jack didn't fight. What are you talking about? Pappy
Yeah.
like, hey kid, I'm gonna fight you tonight, kid.
Okay, so okay, let me restart that sentence.
I was like, Jack? Oh, I can edit that, don't worry. Just say that whole thing again, but without Jack. Captain Jack.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Or even better, I'll just leave it in because it's funny, so maybe.
Or just
Yes.
save it for the blooper reel.
Yes, Jack Sparrow. That's when Jack Sparrow fought Black Death. Yes. He said, "Arr! You better stop believing in ghost stories, Black Death, because you're in one."
That was Barbosa for one.
It's the same movie at least. So wrong
For
quote, same movie.
two, you need to get your pirate lore correct.
Arr! What are you talking about? That is pirate. That's
Anyway,
pirate
so
lore.
I believe they are also that Horn fixes the ratio or the rate at which the fighters are going to win. Because when Tommy first gets there, they give Tommy 15-1, whereas Black Death gets 1-15. So I'm assuming that means Tommy should be the upper dog, Black Death's the underdog. And so everyone will then root for Tommy to win, whereas then Black Death was supposed to beat him, and all that money goes to Horn. That's why he always told Tommy, "You ruined my investment."
So basically, Tommy's backstory is his mom died about a year before the movie starts. When his mom died, he took on boxing, actually became a Golden Gloves champion. Meanwhile, his dad, I assume at that point, started getting into gambling,
And drinking.
worked up worked up a huge gambling debt of $15,000.
Yes.
A huge,
Yes. For
huge,
for 92, that
unsurmountable,
would be huge.
insurmountable, we own your life level of $15,000.
Well, so you say that, but you're not taking into account that Horn is saying this to a 17-year-old. Teenagers are still an impressionable species of human.
And I know Tommy Riley probably is getting like this is 92, he's probably getting $4 an hour as the dishwasher at the diner, so he's, like, washing dishes being like, "If I work the next 17 years, I can save up that 15,000, pay off my dad's debt." I I know that it's a lot of money for sure, I just think that when he's about to give the speech about, "I own you," it's, like, much more impactful if he's like, "Your father owes $100,000," like, some
Well,
huge number
let's also
would
be
be
fair. Horn doesn't care about the father's debts at all. He's using it to get Tommy, and Tommy has pretty much, with his street smarts, knows Horn will do anything to pretty much at this point get Tommy, which means you either fight and work off your father's debts, or I go kill your father.
And the problem is he's so valuable to Horn at certain points. Like, okay, once I'm assume that they've set up something where it's like you get paid this amount per fight, so you have to do a certain amount of fights to pay off your dad's debt.
So it's three
But
thousand
what?
per fight, which means
Okay,
5 fights total.
okay. But after that, was he ever gonna let Tommy? Because the fight he has with Link at the end, that's supposed to be 20. The winner gets 20,000.
That and it was if you listen in, the announcer mentions that Tommy has already won 5 fights, which means this is going to be that final fight for him. whether it was the
Yeah.
20,000 or not. So that's why
So
Horn also told him, well, after this fight, come talk to me and we'll discuss your future.
yeah, and the future's gonna be like, listen, kid, I still need you.
It's like
The
at this
new
point, this
thing.
is the amount I'm going to offer you.
Yeah, no, I feel like he was gonna hold him hostage somehow and still be like, well, listen, the fact is, we're still gonna kill your father unless you keep fighting for me for the rest of your life.
Actually, I got a slight thing of they probably would have went after his girlfriend.
Had no business coming to the fight at the end.
Yeah, that was out of
It
character
doesn't even.
for one.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like something she would want to watch. Why would you want to watch your man get like potentially pulverized?
Especially since she knows it is an illegal fighting ring and it can be dangerous.
And then they do that. I feel like I've seen that. That's kind of a cliche. I feel like I've seen it like in like
Kickboxer for one.
it's always yeah, the villain has control of the girl in the audience. They don't really they kind of hint at it. I mean, it's really nothing. It's not like
He doesn't do anything to her except for
he he
show,
he,
hey, she's sitting by
he
me.
can't. He can't cross into full blown like, you know, I know that the cops really don't care about whatever they're doing there, but I mean,
That's
at a
because they're
certain
bribing the
point,
cops.
I guess, but at a certain point, Tommy could go to the police and just be like, listen, they're like doing some serious shady stuff here. We need to get, I mean, I guess maybe all the local police is paid off, but go to the FBI, the CIA, the men in black.
Should we talk about Shortcut?
Shortcut, who likes to take shortcuts when he's fighting.
Oh,
Is
that's
that
why they
actually
call
why
him
is
Shortcut.
that what that's why I got his name? Like, he takes pride in that? I mean, even that first scene with him when he, tries to encounter Tommy in the schoolyard, and then
Yeah.
Lincoln comes, Lincoln played by Cuba Gooding Jr., plays Abraham Lincoln, oddly enough, his name.
Yep.
Even then, the shortcut establishes, like, he's a boxer, we know he's a fighter, and yet he immediately pulls out a knife to fight, Lincoln?
So
Like,
I have
no?
I have a reason for that. I think I know why. Because Lincoln, I mean not Lincoln, but because
Shortcut.
Shortcut knows he's a bitch and he will lose any legitimate fight he gets in.
Yeah, of all the teen boxers and the boxers in this movie, Shortcut appears to be the worst boxer of all of them. I think even Black Death would have kicked Shortcut's ass from what I'm seeing here because, I mean, he needs a knife hair. When he's facing Romano, he's getting his ass kicked by Romano, has to cheat to win that, and then
He
Tommy
tries
kicks
to
his
cheat
ass
with
too.
Tommy.
Yeah, but Tommy's seen that playbook before and is able to not fall prey to that, so
Yeah, he just
but
wails on him.
the guy's Shortcut's a despicable villain. I feel like he should have went to prison. I feel like he got off way too easy in this movie. I'm not saying Tommy should have destroyed him, but
Tommy
I
did
wouldn't have
destroy him, honestly.
he did, but he did show him mercy also. I'd have been like, "Listen, man,
You got
you
that.
basic you killed my friend basically." So it's like
You got
for all
that.
intents for all intents and purposes. You don't have to die, but we're not gonna be friends after this, that's for sure. So
Who wants to be this
um
guy's friend?
um his sidekicks, his little small gang he has, I guess,
Oh
but
yeah, Spitz.
Spitz.
Also, notice how he calls his crew stormtroopers. Let's kind of
Yep.
break that down to the fact that stormtroopers are some of the worst villain lackeys you can have because they miss everything.
Yep.
Why would you want to be associated with that kind of mediocrity?
Does the name sounds cool? Only I can
Not
think of.
really.
I'm a stormtrooper.
Sounds stupid.
For a group of high school bullies, it does sound stupid. It's also stupid, the little game they play at the beginning with Tommy where it's like, you know, "You're sitting in my chair. You're sitting in his chair. Now you're sitting in my chair." Like, if they knew they were bullying, like, a Golden Gloves champion, he coulda, like, at any point now this way we don't know this yet, but he could've now in hindsight, he coulda just knocked all 3 of them out right there, so
Yeah, but again, he also doesn't want to because it's shown he wants to go to college. He wants to actually make something of himself. He wants to get out of the slums that his father put him into.
look, I think if Tommy puts his mind to it, he probably ended up being the best damn dishwasher guy in the history of dishwasher
Yeah,
guys.
but
He moved up to head dishwasher, so
there are there's honestly one thing. There's a couple things, but there's one thing, one major thing I think they could have added to this movie, and that is the son.
Clowns.
No,
A clown.
no.
No.
Well, we had a clown. His name was Shortcut. Um,
Hmm.
Tommy and his father John. Tommy and John's relationship, because there's no
Which is the
way Tommy
which is
doesn't.
that's the father from Home Alone, you know.
Yeah. Oh well, now I do, but there's no way Tommy doesn't have resentment towards his father for for screwing up both their lives and forcing them into the slums.
Yeah. It's kind of, we get a few scenes of them together, and you get a hint of their relationship, but it's just not one of those movies that's gonna, like, take that much time to explore that in depth. Yeah, we get 2 scenes, right, with the father.
Hmm.
Um, I just think Tommy's really, like, because his mom's not there, he's really protective of his father, he wants to, like, not really be, like, in any kinda conflict with him, so he's kinda just going with the thing, but yeah, in most situations, the son definitely would be like, "Dad, I've had to literally put my life at risk because of your debts," but, I mean, his father better thank him.
I don't even think his
Yeah.
father's ever going to know.
Oh, his father's gonna assume, like, the debts just was randomly just canceled or
Oof.
something?
Well, to be honest with you, the second time we see the father, I feel like the father knew something was up, because the whole time they were talking, it seemed like he wanted to bring something up to Tommy, but just never did.
Did you see Tommy with the black eye?
No.
I feel like he okay, because Tommy at certain points has physical damage on his face that would
Well,
be noticeable to anybody,
the
so
only time they've seen each other face to face was before Tommy got into the fights. And
okay.
then the second time you see him, the father's still away on a business trip.
Yeah, so that's where basically he's, like, telling Tommy, "You're gonna be alone for a month." They had to, like, establish that, otherwise, the father's gonna be able to see his face and be like, "Hey, what's going on? You're fighting?"
Mm.
So that was a good plot device to be like, "Alright, the father's away for a month," so, um, now is the father's away for a month, and we're pretty sure that he's, like, not just gambling somewhere.
Hopefully, but we do. But at the very least, Tommy gets a lot of time with Dawn. Dawn's actually seems like she's kind of living there now. It seems like.
Yeah, we don't learn too much about Dawn. We know that her mom theoretically owns the restaurant.
It's
Um,
called Millie's.
Dawn feels like somebody who's, like she feels, like, out of place in this environment. Like,
Yeah,
this is a rough neighborhood, and she's just kinda, like, stuck there, but she's definitely, obviously, gonna use her intelligence probably to go to a college in some different town, get out of there, but she seems, like, out of place, like, in this environment. So, but unfortunately, I mean, she's a pretty good actress, as we know from her career, but she's basically playing, I don't wanna say generic love interest, but she's
she's
there
playing
to
generic love interest.
yeah, they're not gonna let her all we
Steal
know is
the
that
spotlight.
all we know is she cares about Tommy. That's pretty much gonna be the extent of her development. So,
Yeah,
um,
well,
but that but that's because to be honest, there's more interesting characters than her in the movie. So they give you gotta think about the supporting characters. There's adult characters, the teacher, his trainer. There's a lot of adult characters who actually like are giving him good advice and are like positive role model type of people, basically.
and to be honest with you, when I first saw Horn, I thought he was wearing like the football shoulder pads.
Yeah.
Because for some reason the shoulders did not match like the guy's head. It looked like
We're supposed to believe that back in the day, Horn was this amazing boxer.
with a bad foot.
Um, yeah, and even since he's gonna be fighting at the end of the movie, we have to believe that even right now, he's still like a fantastic boxer. But the actor does seem kind of like it just seems like I don't want to say he's out of shape, but it seems like it's interesting like that he's not like because if you were a great boxer, you would think like athletes like that level, they usually like they keep themselves in shape.
Yeah,
Like
look at Mike Tyson.
they Yeah, like they work out for the rest of their lives. They're always like sharp, and he's actually sparring with people. Well, you would think like, okay, well, he's in the gym probably every day, like working out and stuff. So it's interesting. But I'm glad they got the actor that guy because that actor is like something about his facial expressions. Just like you can tell, like a guy was meant to play a villain. There's something about like they project like just this dude's shady. This dude's evil. Like there's no part of you thinks, oh, this is a good person. Sure, he's a nice guy in real life, the actor, but he just, like, projects, like, scummy villain, like, perfectly well. It's about his face, it's like I'm just like, "Ah, he's a villain." Yeah.
You never know. He could actually be a villain in real life too. Orange weakness is to be honest with you, he's not that good of a businessman.
Mm.
For the fact that yeah, I understand it's an illegal ring, and let's face it, Papy Jack is the one bribing the police to stay off of Horn's ass.
Hmm.
But the reason I say he's not that good of a businessman is you're having an illegal ring. Uh, you used to be a boxer, so you do know how dangerous it is. But at the same time, you then allow because he allowed this. He allows someone to either be killed or become so brain damaged the guy might as well be dead. So, and
Yeah.
I don't know
You
about
know,
you, but that sounds like a bad idea.
he's very lucky too that with what happens to Romano, I don't know if Romano has any family that's actually going to investigate what happened to him. Like, they take Romano to, like, apparently, like, basically, like, not a real hospital, more like a clinic kinda thing. A clinic
Mhm.
for the poor, I guess is what they said.
Poor
Um,
and I'm gonna hate saying this, but they say poor and indigent, meaning minorities. So
yes.
this movie
So
definitely has a lot of racial undertones to it. Some
yeah,
very in your face.
yeah, and with his injuries, I mean, obviously, it would've been nice for him to actually get, like, strong medical treatment, but it doesn't seem to be the case. But I don't know if he has any family that like, anybody if a boxer that happens to them, then their family is gonna probably, like, do an investigation and get people involved, and there could be all this, like, litigation and accountability if somebody actually is, like, investigating, but we don't know if Romano has any family here in the country or what, so it's like,
The only
I don't know.
thing we know is his father had passed away at some point because he says he wants to once he eventually makes enough money, he wants to take his father's body back to Cuba.
Yeah. Yeah, and, at least Romano was living it up though, man. He was buying some fly clothes and living his life,
Oh,
man.
he was one of those fun loving characters you cannot help to be friends with.
Yeah, yeah, cool dude and good performance, and yeah, you really feel bad for him with what happens because, the movie it's not like the movie is a light movie, but you don't really expect anything that dark to happen to one of the main characters. I didn't really see that happening. That's kind of a cliche though too, where there's always like before the main guy takes out the villain has to like destroy one of his friends or do something. So we see that all the time too, but
I
that
mean,
felt kind of dark for this movie with high schoolers and stuff. So I
I
don't know.
mean, also to be fair, as I just said, because Cuba's character's name is Abraham Lincoln, I assumed he was going to get shot in the head.
Yeah, luckily Abraham in this movie did not go to any opera houses or theaters or anything. So
I mean, he still got knocked the hell out when he got knocked out of the damn ring with a backhand.
well, the interesting thing about this movie too is this there's no guns in this movie, I don't think, right? I don't remember seeing any guns.
They show them, they don't use them. They were like the
Like
bookies that go to Tommy. One of them pulls his jacket and shows pistol.
but I mean with like the teens and the gangs and stuff,
Nope,
it
they
seems like they
only saw
that
knives.
you have a knife, you have knives, but yeah, but nobody actually wants to like shoot anybody, it seems like. So, I bet you Shortcut would shoot somebody though. He
Yeah,
clearly he doesn't seem to care that he basically killed somebody. So
he doesn't. He even he even mocks Tommy about it, and then pretty much very subtly, air quotes on that one, subtly mentions he's going to pay Dawn a visit. He's trying to
yeah,
get under Tommy's skin, and he does, and he finds the consequences of getting under someone's skin.
I hope Shortcut gets his ass kicked for the rest of his life. Again, I can't
I
stress
don't
enough.
think he's
One of
fighting
the most
anymore
unlikable
after that.
characters. Oh, I'm sure he's a glutton for punishment. I'm sure his his ego, he's probably back in there, I'm sure, but I thought what do you think about the actual boxing scenes? I thought they were pretty good.
They
The
were up
camera
in
the camera gets in close, and
mhm.
you see all the action, like, very clearly.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Th- this is how action movies should be filmed, not like Mortal Kombat. Um 2022 or 1 whatever whenever that one came out.
there's so
Um
many cuts and stuff, yeah.
yeah, but I will say I come in expecting a boxing movie, and next thing I know, I'm seeing Cuba Gooding Jr. Actually get kicked in the face. I see someone getting Muay Thai elbowed in the eyeball. I'm just like,
There's no rules.
excuse you,
There's
if
loose rules.
and even Tommy for one fight breaks the rules himself. Granted, the guy tried to blind him, so he punches him so hard in the dick he probably can't have babies no more.
Jesus. Well, yeah, I mean, it's boxing, but it's like boxing with, like there's some street fight type stuff that happens, though, for sure.
It's backyard boxing.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like there's definitely a visual style to the fights that's pretty unique. I feel like you get, like, kind of in the character's facial expressions. Everything looks real. One of the good things is, like, some of the actors, the guy that plays Romano is actually a real life boxer. He was runner up to a Golden Gloves championship. Right in this time, he had planned to try to do the boxing in the Olympics, but then his acting career took off with this movie, so he started just focusing on acting roles instead of pursuing boxing. But watching him in the ring, he's going to be the most natural boxer because he's a real boxer.
Yet
The
we only
main
get
guy,
him in half a fight. We don't even see the full fight. I kind of that's actually a
yeah,
complaint I have for this movie. I wish up until what happens to Romano and even Shortcut that we actually get to see some of their fights because the whole
yeah.
time all we're told is, "Oh yeah, I won." It's like, yeah, but how? How good are you exactly? Or did you just face some random schmancy pantsy guy? I mean, I would have loved to
Get
see them
the
fight at least once.
you get the montage where, like, it's mostly focusing on Lincoln and Tommy though winning their
Hmm.
fights, not so much Romano. But yeah, it's hard to get a feel for the rankings because, like, Romano was being shortcut, like, very easily. So I would have thought that Horn would have wanted to protect Romano more if he's one of your best boxers, because he clearly, like, he sees Lincoln as, like, one of his top things, and he sees Tommy there, but he doesn't seem, like, annoyed or upset with what happens to Romano. But he could have, like, that same thing about "You hurt my investment." He could have went to shortcut and said, "Hey, you just ruined one of my investments by doing that." So it seems like bad for business for a Horn to allow that to happen. Like, that's one of your premier boxers that you let happen. Like, how is that good for your business? So that's one kind of inconsistency where, like, he should have, like, actually been mad at shortcut and be like, "You son of a bitch! Like, why'd you do that?"
Oh, actually, I just thought of something because you remember how I told you earlier in the day that I would have rather left the whole brain bleed of Lincoln out so that way they could have a pretty dramatic fight at the end.
Yeah.
What if instead Romano actually beat Shortcut, and then the dramatic fight that I wanted could have been between Romano and and Tommy.
Yeah. Hmm. Interesting. Well, the funny thing is the movie on the cover and the credits and all that, it clearly they're highlighting basically Tommy and Lincoln.
Hmm.
And by then the movie, those are basically your 2 main characters. But Lincoln's really not in the first half of the movie that much. I would say he's, like, in the first half of the movie, he has less screen time than Romano. He only has that one bonding scene with Tommy, but once Romano goes down, then they really shift the focus to, like, the friendship between Lincoln and Tommy. Now it's, like, them 2. Um, but yeah, if Romano stayed alive, I don't know if, like, I guess, like, that had to happen to, like, highlight Lincoln more too, because if Romano stuck around, I feel like you're right. Like, what role does he play then at the end? Like, do you have Romano fight Lincoln? Do you have Romano fight Tommy?
Mhm.
Ev Eventually, they had I mean, how many boxers does this thing have? Eventually, everybody has to fight each other, right? I mean, how many boxers participate where if it's every single Friday night, eventually everybody has to fight everybody, I would think.
Yeah, well, eventually we do get our final fight, which is Horn and Tommy.
Well, Tommy, being the great friend he is, makes sure that he doesn't hit Lincoln, who has a brain bleed, or suppose he has a brain bleed. Even gets Lincoln to basically quit the whole damn operation. He tells Horn, "I'm not fighting for you no more." And I'm not gonna say I laughed, but Horn hit Lincoln so hard that Lincoln flew across the damn ring in over the top fashion. He looked like Jason Voorhees threw his ass out the ring. Like, I know I was talking trash about the actor being out of shape or Horn, but they make him look like a badass with, like, that little backhand shoe fly get away from me, and, like, Lincoln goes flying out the ring. You see how far he flew?
Oh yeah, I saw.
How is that possible? He he elevated off the ground and flew out of the ring, like, what the hell?
I know how it's possible.
How hard did Horn hit him?
I know how it's possible. Horn's a big dude because in the very next scene we see those shoulders weren't fake this whole time, and Cuba Gooding Jr. was a pretty scrawny guy, even though he was in shape, but he was still pretty scrawny.
Like, I know Tommy's a tough guy, but if I see that happen to Lincoln, I'm not going, "Horn, I wanna fight you." I'm going, "Hey, Horn, man, I'm gonna do whatever you say, man. I mean, how many more fights you need? Just don't knock me out the ring like that." Like,
Well,
Tommy
then
saw
you
that and
would
was
not
like,
have been that good of a friend, would you? It's like you on your own, bud.
and then as a viewer, I'm like, "Man, Tommy about to get his ass kicked." He ain't beating Horn. If Horn's that beastly, then but I mean,
Well, apparently nobody liked the fact that Horn backhanded him out of the ring because everyone was booing and going crazy.
well, that's another thing. If you're Horn, like, why would you do that in front of the entire audience? It's like, that doesn't help your reputation,
So
like
that way everyone can cheer for Tommy when he starts winning the fight against Horn.
so the stakes are if Horn wins, he owns Tommy.
No, it's when Horn wins.
When Horn wins, yes. Not if, but when. But Tommy's fighting for his freedom here, and also, I guess for his dad's freedom, and also for avenge his
Dawn's.
friends, Don, and avenge Lincoln. Probably for Lincoln's freedom too, because that was Horn's response to like, "I'm not fighting you anymore." Was like,
You gonna die
"I'll
to
beat you.
them.
I will beat your ass if you don't fight for me." I just listen. That should be a meme. Just like somebody saying something, and then him flying out the ring reminded me of like Jazzy Jeff flying out of the Fresh Prince house, like Uncle Phil throwing him out. That's what that reminded me of. Uh, all right, well, we do get basically Horn as a fighter is all about being cunning and using his head
Well, let's
literally.
be fair. He is older. I doubt he would have had the stamina to be able to actually go toe to toe, blow for blow with Tommy.
But Tommy was already like
Damaged.
he was like already like he started the fight having already just fought, so it was like, oh, like
Should be
you think he'd have been
tired.
tired too. Maybe it was
Well,
all
yeah,
adrenaline, I guess, but
yeah, it's the adrenaline. Plus, he did end up breaking his hand across fucking Horn's head because Horn kept ducking his head to make him hit the hardest part of the skull.
the hand thing was him just like tricking Horn, thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I feel like he should have done something with that hand before he got his ass thrown out the wing.
well, either way, thankfully for everybody, the the reign of Horn is over as Horn takes a fall. Tommy
And
gets his
can't get back
freedom.
up.
He's fallen, he can't get back up. Eyes glazed over, looks pretty much out of it, looks concussed. I would have loved to seen cut to Papy Jack with a sinister smile, like, "Yes, yes, yes,
Or
yeah, good job, Tommy."
Pappy Jack gets in the ring, punches Horn, and then tells him, "You just got knocked the fuck out."
Yeah, what if Papy Jack in there's like gave him one final blow to knock him out, or Lincoln came back and like a running kick in the face or something.
No,
'Cause he
everybody gets a blow. Even Shortcut comes in with the knife and goes, "Mine now."
because the problem is the movie's like the movie shows you that, like, basically Horn's exploiting all these, like, young people, right?
Mhm.
So the ending is, like, kinda like, I'm happy for Tommy that he has freedom, but there should have been something more involved where, like, Horn loses his entire business or has, like, an actual consequence. Horn is gonna wake up tomorrow and I guess just the next Friday continue his business. I feel
He
like
has
they
a
could have done more of a crumbling of his empire.
I feel like his girlfriend left him.
She went with Papy Jack, yeah.
And
She
she's
was,
with Papy Jack now.
she was already cheating on him with Papy Jack, so,
Let's face it.
um
The head canon is Papy Jack took over immediately after that. He told Tommy and Lincoln, "I respect y'all. If y'all want to come and fight, you can. However, get the hell out of my face."
I think you could say honestly that it might be a thing where Horn is so embarrassed by that whole thing that he literally does
Just
stop doing it because he doesn't want his face to be seen. He just got knocked out in front of everybody. For a man that like with that his reputation, that's probably a huge hit to his ego. He might actually literally stop the business because like I don't have the intimidating thing anymore because they just saw me get beat up by a kid.
Now, Pappy Jack probably would have taken over, but something tells me Pappy Jack would have, even though still illegal, would have tried to legitimize it by trying to get some of the better fighters actually, as you brought up once, actually in professional boxing. So that way he can then sponsor them and get more money out of them.
Boy, now if I was Tommy, again, if we're doing like the what happens in the aftermath of this, if I'm Tommy, I'm probably leaving town because the thing is, are you gonna feel safe there with like I can see Tommy walking out of the restaurant with his girl and like some drive-by shooting just comes and like Horn is probably capable of murder, to be honest. Like, is Horn gonna just leave Tommy alone going forward? I feel like you gotta move, you gotta leave the town. You gotta hopefully his dad
He made
can
a deal.
he made a deal, but that doesn't stop Horn from then killing him afterwards, is what I'm saying. If Horn is in that area, he's gonna be like, I gotta get this kid back. Uh, Tommy has to leave town with his dad. He has to move and start a new life. You can't be in that town. A couple reasons. You can't be around Shortcut and his gang. They're gonna be gunning for him. And then Horn's gonna be gunning for him. He has to move. I feel like they got to get out of there.
Well, Tommy and Dawn, okay, new headcanon. Tommy and Dawn then get in the car with Lincoln's girl, and Black Beauty, and drive away in the car that fucking Horn gave Lincoln. And they lived happily ever after in a Western style ending that took place in fucking Illinois.
First of all, they have to finish high school, and also
They can finish
Dawn's
in another state.
Dawn lives with her mom, like, and works at the restaurant. She can't just pick up and leave, man. Get out of
Do
here.
you forget what was it? Unnatural Behaviors or whatever, Strange Behavior, whatever movie you got me to watch where the characters that were in high school were planning on leaving the damn town anyway.
Movie? What are you talking about? What movie is that?
This is when I was still in Wyoming. I forgot Unnatural Behavior or nat.
It's disturbing behavior.
That's it. Yeah. Remember how the ending of that was originally they were all going to get on the boat and fucking float away? But they're still
Well,
kids.
that's what that was the ending actually. But it didn't make sense because they left their parents behind. It makes no sense. They're they're it's like the little girl and older brother, like, they left their parents behind. It makes no sense. Um, no, that's gonna be the ending that you're saying. They're driving the car, and then the car stops, and you see Dawn jump out of the car and be like, "My shift at the restaurant starts in 6 minutes. See you guys later, bye." She probably owes her mom $75 in broken dishes. She gotta pay off her
Probably.
debt, so
Probably. That's probably why she works there.
I don't think I don't think Dawn and Tommy lasted because there just wasn't much there. It was just like it's a basic high school romance,
No,
so
I know what was there in Tommy's eyes anyway. You know, she was a beautiful woman.
she's pretty.
So there you go.
She's
That's why Tommy was there.
she's pretty, she showed interest but her and
And
Tommy
she's
never
smart,
seemed
allegedly.
well, yeah, I mean, she knows what pseudonym means, so, um, yeah, I don't know, maybe they last, maybe not, but okay, so with the Rising, that I don't think they lasted, but I do think that Pappy Jack took over. Lincoln's not boxing anymore. If he really quit, then I don't know. I mean, he's gotta get a job because he has to
Well,
support his
actually,
kids.
if Pappy Jack did take over, it's possible
Lincoln may
he,
actually stay on. Yeah,
yeah, because
correct.
at least Pappy Jack would have respected him enough to be able to actually try to jumpstart that career again. As I said,
And
if he
Lincoln
does
wanted to
go
he
pro,
wanted to he wanted to pursue boxing in a way. Like Tommy
yeah.
didn't want to pursue that in that way. Um, and then finally Romano wakes up from his coma.
No,
Maybe
no,
just give me some hope, man. I
no.
gotta believe.
So I can tell you exactly what my wife told me. That last hit that actually put Romano in that coma was to the temple. You hit that part of the head really, really hard. Your whole body's just going to completely shut down if that part gets damaged. That's why
Mm.
his eyes roll to the back of his head. He's just completely gone now. He might as well be dead. Even when he opened his eyes back in the hospital, his eyes still did not come back to normal.
Yeah. All right, man. I know I hear what you're saying, man. But enough Robitussin. I think he's gonna come out of it, man.
If
Yeah,
he does,
he's
he's
gonna
going to have someone wiping his ass the rest of his life.
he's gonna be dancing in no time. So, or at least watching Dancing with the Stars.
Also, how frightening is it the fact that he I would have assumed when they went to the hospital, like Tommy was going to be confronted by like his mom or maybe a sister, and all, but no one was even there with him. It took another guy to tell him, yeah, doctors say he's not waking up from this.
That's why I was just like, man, Horn got so lucky that it didn't seem like Romano had any family there. They would be at the hospital, wouldn't they? Like somebody would be
Hmm.
there.
If
Yeah,
they were
and
even informed, actually, otherwise they'd be in Tommy's case trying to find out where their son is. Maybe they thought the son ran away.
but it gets very interesting to think about like, yeah, where was Romano staying at? Like, was he not staying with family? Like, I know he's making money, but like, did he have his own place? I guess.
No, he didn't have his own place because he even mentioned when he gets enough money, he's getting an apartment.
Yeah, so he's staying with some kind of family. So somebody's got to be like, hey, and he probably wasn't lying about his fighting. So his family probably knew his fighting. I don't know. There's some questions unanswered there. Maybe I'm just saying justice for Romano. I'm just saying Robitussin, a lot of sleep,
Well, he's
milk,
getting a lot of sleep.
a lot of sleep. That's what I said.
All the
Um,
way up until he dies.
man. Um, I feel bad every time I see that hospital scene with him and Tommy. I feel bad every
Mm,
time I watch it.
well,
'Cause
stop watching it.
Oh, it's a great scene though. Tommy's trying to get him to wake up just by saying "wake up," and it's just not gonna work. So, and the actor not showing any emotion throughout the movie. At least in that scene, he was pretty emotional for once.
Well, that and during the actual fight, he kept screaming, "Stop the fight!" Which, let's be fair, the ref should have easily stopped the fight.
The ref should have stopped the fight. Romano, as soon as he saw he was blinded, should have took a dive. Should be like, "Look, I can't see. I have to jump. I have to just go to the
Go
ground
down.
because yeah, if you go to the ground, I think they have to end the fight, right? So it's like just stay on the ground and let the ref count you out because yeah, if you're blind, you're still like just like letting the guy hit you. I mean, what do you think's gonna happen? You can't even.
Uh,
And now one thing that's interesting is even while blind, because he's a good boxer, there should have still been a defensive instinct of like
put your
blocking
arms up.
punches because he doesn't have to see to be able to block it. He can still block just his face, right? With that,
Mhm.
so that was like being blind shouldn't have like incapacitated him to like a point of just like where he's not even like defending himself. Like, okay, you can't see, you still know to block your, so
To be fair, I don't think it was 100% just blindness. I think it's not chloroform because the Romano would have just went down. I think there was something else that kind of messed with Romano's head other than blindness. Because let's be fair, that stuff didn't get in his eyes. That Romano was sniffing it, whatever it was.
yeah, maybe it was some kind of drug or something because you're right. Like I said, if it's just blindness, I think he would know to like either get on the ground or like yell out, "Hey, I'm blind," or still protect himself. But he looked like basically like a complete sitting duck at that point. Like he couldn't
Hmm.
defend himself, couldn't do anything. Um, but also the way he was squinting, again, like we said, the referee should have like because Tommy from way back there noticed it.
Yeah.
Immediately, Tommy was like, "Something's not right." So the referee should have damn sure noticed it and stopped the fight.
Well, this ref was probably afraid of being like the previous ref and get knocked the fuck out by Tommy.
That's true. Like, I'm not interfering at all. Um, movie has a great soundtrack, great score. Um, you get the fantastic, again, the 80s style montage with them training. Um, but I mean, the good thing is the movie never feels too cheesy though. It could easily become like cheesy, but it doesn't really. It always stays relatively serious. So
I don't know. Horn seemed pretty cheesy to me.
I think he was that right balance though, where like you're still always sort of intimidated by him as a villain because the guy maybe because the actor just has that feel. But yeah, so basically with this movie, I would say that I would highly recommend this to a certain type of movie fan. It's a movie fan that likes movies like Kickboxer, Bloodsport, Sidekicks, those sort of fighting movies where you know the last scene is going to be our hero overcoming a villain in some kind of fight scene, and then him and his girlfriend are going to celebrate outside the ring. It's like that's a common. We've seen that movie like 11 times, right? So if you like
Mm.
that kind of movie, if you get something like that kind of movie, this movie follows those beats pretty well, follows the formula. Um, the key things those kind of movies you want to see is decent fighting scenes, likable characters, and enough fight scenes to keep it kind of entertaining throughout. So this movie has everything to fill that formula, basically. So again, if you like Karate Kid, Bloodsport, Sidekicks, just boxing movies in general, I feel like Creed, for example, the Rocky movies. This has the same spirit as those movies. Um, something about the style, maybe it's the music, the style. Something about it makes the movie very rewatchable for me. The fact that the main character dude, the actor, the fact that he's not in a lot of stuff after this makes him more rewatchable because I feel like he's not overexposed. So, like I only see these actors like in these roles for the most part, except Cuba, who we've seen in a lot of stuff since then. Um, so I'm gonna go with my 3 stars. Um, the movie is hard to find, so I would say if you can find it or rent it, it's worth the watch if you like that kind of that kind of genre movie, so
So for me, I like the characters. I like the score. I really like the score actually, especially that very first song. I believe it was called "Killer" by Seal. That was a really good song.
I like when it also some of the fight scenes where that you get that dramatic music,
Mhm.
like that rising dramatic music, that's kinda
Oh yeah.
like yeah, that's
Uh,
cool.
this I do like that all the subplots in this actually make sense for what they were going for. Along with it, didn't feel like the subplots were overplayed because sometimes you get movies where the subplot is overplayed and then you get no resolution for it at the end of it.
Yeah.
This one subplot, unfortunately, this kind of subplots you get in this, no real, you don't get resolutions because it's not one that you can give a resolution to. Because most of the subplot was the racial undertones that this movie was going off on.
Yeah.
But fight scenes were actually really well choreographed and they were fun to watch. Some were intense, some were just, you know, I guess I guess all of them were intense because even the one with shortcut, when you're sitting on your seat, wondering, well, is Tommy going to kill shortcut here? Because
So
Tommy's also breaking the rules at this point. This is the only time he ever breaks the rules fighting anybody.
and going into it, you're thinking like, is Shortcut gonna blind Tommy?
Well, he tries.
So,
But
yeah, you know?
as a first time watch, I was definitely surprised because usually when Vic tells me to watch something, I hate it, like Troll 2.
It's it's a great movie.
Shit movie. So overall, actually going to agree with Vic. It is definitely a 3. My only downsides is some scenes with Dawn and a few things that makes no sense on why the villains do what they do. Just they do it just to be a villain, but that still doesn't make sense to the course of the movie. So for me, it's a 3 stars. It's a good watch. Like I said, I found it on Amazon. You can just type in Gladiator and look for Cuba Gooding Jr.'s face on it, and you'll find it. Or you can even go full detail Gladiator 1992, and it should show up pretty easily.
Yeah, I think as Cuba got more popular, probably all the market in the movie, like, focuses around Cuba as, like, the main dude, but he's really almost nearly a background character in the movie, honestly. Like, he's featured heavily towards the end, but yeah. And I agree also that, a lot of the Dawn stuff could be removed. Even though I like the actress, she's just kinda there, so
So, oh, as always, folks, you don't have to go home. You do got to get yourself a mushroom cup and fill it with some chocolate milk and drink some chocolate milk. Be happy, be fun. Get double fry up some wings, throw them in a nice orange sauce. It is delicious, I promise you. Because I just made that for dinner last night. My wife is now extremely happy. And
nice.
don't forget to do your laundry. Some of y'all are starting to. Whew, don't forget to do your laundry.
And when doing the dishes, don't break them because 'cause you'll have to pay for them if you break them.
$1.50 per plate. I think it was 50 cents per glass and 75 cents for something else. I forgot what I think it was a coffee mug was 75 cents.
And then that's 1992 money, which means that's $100,000 to replace one dish. So,
Exactly.
inflation, inflation, baby.
Inflation.
So,
Inflation.
yeah.